Hare Krishna, everyone. Namaste. Hope everyone's doing okay. I can tell there's a lot of challenge being equally dispersed throughout the planet. But this is not a bad thing, because through adversity we grow. We grow strong, and we learn who we are and who we aren't. And through adversity, a lot of revelations occur and definitions become more obvious. So those who are posing as your friends but are really demons in disguise, they'll reveal themselves through this adversity. So it's always a good thing, Nothing's really actually bad, It's all just a blessing regardless, because we don't have to be experiencing anything, but we're here, right? We're here. So it's a gift. Every moment, every challenge, and every pleasant day, every unpleasant day is all relevant and essential for our development. So when we figure these things out, then life gets a little easier and a little better to experience. So I'm going to do a video on basically the difference between material and spiritual success, and more so I'm going to dive into mainly how people are trapping themselves in a material situation because of how we're all programmed, especially in the Western Hemisphere. We're all programmed and trained to think certain ways and whatnot, and to be certain ways. We put so much unneeded pressure on ourselves, on our children, on each other, to think and be in such a way, that by the time we're older, we have so many problems, man. It's like, where do I even begin to sort myself out? So let me I'm going to touch up on 5 different ways that people trap themselves in a material bondage without realizing a lot of the times, because it's just all we know. It's what we're born into. So it's just how it is, and it doesn't have to be like that. If we don't have to change everything, but we can change what we can control, which is ourselves. If we change ourselves, it gets that much easier for the children, and the youth to want to do so. But if everyone's making it as hard as possible to be a good person, then of course we're gonna have a dark world to live in, So it all starts with that surrendering point, like that tapping out, like, I don't want to live like this anymore, and I don't want my kids to grow up in a world that's so dark that I don't even know how to train them to live in it. It's scary. So becoming conscious and becoming a good person will give you the opportunity to bless your children and others, and to teach and inspire other people to be able to shine their light in such a dark world and not really be affected by it, and more so create an impact and an imprint on this existence and whatnot, instead of having it make an imprint on you or them, So it's a big deal whenever you work on yourself and you make changes within yourself to reflect in your outer situation. So I wrote down a lot of key tips, and I'm going to read off this paper because it helps me to know that I covered the grounds that I was intending on covering, because there's a lot of areas of confusion that are amongst all of our minds, So if something's troubling you, it's probably troubling everyone. So that's how I look at it, So here's a few things that were confusing, and I see people being confused with as they're growing up, and whenever we end up trapping ourselves into a messed up situation, it's because of some of these topics. So number one is having a relationship with a beautiful partner, physically beautiful, because you can be beautiful beyond that surface level. But having a relationship with like a physically attractive partner traps one into serving their genitals, and this is about being controlled by your material senses. So the idea behind becoming the Goswami, or the master of your senses, is to spiritualize one's material senses, because we're all given material senses in this world of material. So the idea is to transcend these material natures by spiritualizing your senses, and it takes effort, it takes time. So be patient with yourself and give yourself room to grow and make mistakes that you need to make in order to learn. So it's not about starting off perfect, because no one's gonna do that. But just to be patient with yourself and give yourself room to make mistakes, room to grow. Don't beat yourself up, and don't let others put you down just because you've made mistakes and because you're still going to make mistakes. So what? It happens. So having a relationship with a beautiful partner, this could make you addicted to their physical bodies. That lust is the biggest demon as to why we descend from God's planet into this planet, is because of lust, but material lust. And whenever we're attracted to, and if we need this sexual pleasure as much as we can, which that's a lot of people, this is going to cause a lot of distress and suffering, because no one wants to be treated like that. Even if they think they do for a moment's time, it's not always going to be like that. So one day they're going to say, I don't want to be treated like this anymore, and you're going to be so addicted to that situation, it's going to really bother you. It's going to create a lot of distress, and you're going to think, well, what's wrong with me? And it isn't like that. We're more than just our physical bodies. We have to understand that. So whenever you're attracted to someone's physical body, that's okay, but let it be a balanced situation. Let yourselves connect to each other when the time and energy is right, and allow your sexual creative energy to accumulate as needed, because we have a lot of energy that accumulates in that sacral chakra that can be distributed to the rest of your body, which invokes creative thinking and acting. So it's a really powerful way to heal, to distribute that energy elsewhere. So there's meditational methods that work on specifically that. And if we're spending that energy constantly, our bodies are going to deteriorate, because that's what we need. That's our life force. That Shakti, or that feminine divine, that sexual creative energy, is absolutely essential for maintaining your youth. It's absolutely essential for being alive. Everything in this realm, this physical realm, was created by Shakti. And this is God's feminine divine energy. God's creative life force created this realm. So everything you're looking at in here, including the masculine sun itself, is ultimately dominantly feminine. And whenever you work on qualifying for the spiritual realm, or trying to enter God's abode again, going back home, you have to embrace your feminine divine in order to do so. And we can't always be addicted to our family. We can't be addicted to our partners, because it's going to sidetrack you from what's necessary and what's important. One day we're going to get old, and that attraction is going to still be there. You're still going to want to have that. So we have to work on ourselves so we're not so needy, with from needing and expecting things from people and things in this material realm is setting yourself up for major distress. And the Varnashram system was set up way back in a day where people don't even remember. It's not even recorded in most of our history. Thousands of years ago, the system was set up to where the man would have pressure on them to become conscious, to be a representative of God, to be a devotee of God, and therefore they have the capacity to help lift their family up in that way. That's actually providing. And well, nowadays, providing isn't shit, but running from your actual family life and using your 9 to 5 as an excuse to leave your children with the mother who's left with excessive amounts of work, even whenever they're providing too. So, that's not how it's supposed to go. Men were supposed to be conscious, and then the women served the men, and then the children were served the woman a majority of the time, and then through serving each other, they were serving God. They were all devotees by serving each other, and the man would help everyone become conscious, or whoever has the capacity to be conscious. It was less likely for the woman to do so because women are the embodiments of God's intellectual energy, so it's easier for them to be trapped in their mind, where consciousness occurs in your heart. So it was more, the pressure was more on the men to become conscious. Now the women are more conscious in this age. It's an ass backwards age. So all we know is this age. All we know is ignorance. We're completely unaware that completely different ages take place. We're just finding this out again. So this is how things went back in the day. They developed these simple systems to help everyone's conscious level lift throughout their lives, and that way they break out of this material situation by the time they die. So the Varnashram system was a way that everyone served each other, and through doing so, their consciousness was lifted and their souls were purified. So through the workforce, the work system, and the I forget what it's called, but through the how people would find their purpose is they would have farmers, workers, soldiers or protectors, and then they'd have Brahmins, or the self-realized souls. And the farmers would provide sustenance, where the workers would pay them for what they're producing and work for their livings and whatnot. Then the Kshatriyas, or the protectors, the soldiers, would look after everybody, and the self-realized souls, the Brahmins, would help lift everyone's consciousness. And through everyone serving each other in that system, their souls were purified and their consciousness was lifted. And in that way, they would help to each other as a community to qualify for God's kingdom by the time they died. And that system's long forgotten. So these simple systems were created back when everyone was conscious, back when everyone was kind of smart. Now people just pretend to be smart. Even the greatest intellects on the planet are actually haunted by their gifts because they don't use them to serve God. They're actually sidetracking themselves from anything that actually matters, because, like I said, you can only be truly intelligent through your heart. If you don't have love for God, then your knowledge is going to be empty and limited. Knowledge without love is empty and limited, and you're only going to sidetrack yourself with whatever you're dazzled with amongst this material situation. If you have no love for God, you're going to have no capacity to understand anything of essence. And that's just how it is. You could be a doctor, you could be a scientist, but everyone's starting to realize that these people aren't real. They're like fucking robots walking around. They ain't going to help you. They can't even help themselves. They're lost in this world and they don't even know their purpose. That system was so that everyone could easily find a purpose to slide into, and you could always upgrade as you need to. If you become very self-realized, you can move into that department as need be. But for example, the Brahmins would dedicate their whole lives to becoming conscious, and because of that, they didn't really make that much money. They would a lot of the times be beggars and have to go live with people, and it would be a custom for the farmers and the Sudras, the workers, to allow the Brahmins to live in their shelter, provide them with food and shelter for as long as they need to stay with you. And in return, the Brahmins would help teach everyone in the house different things, help lift their consciousness, and make a beautiful, loving transaction. And through serving everyone, we're purifying our souls and becoming conscious. So that's what life's all about, is becoming conscious and purified. If we're not doing that, then we're not really doing much of anything but causing distraction and more issues in a world full of distractions and issues. So just remember that. If you're sidetracked by your genitals, if you're sidetracked by temporary tastes on the tongue, if you're sidetracked by different things like that that rely on your material senses, you're only sidetracking yourself, and you're confused, and you're confusing others. That's just how it is, Don't mean any offense by it. That's just how it is. God said, whatever you do, make it an offering to me. The food you eat, the sacrifice you make, the help you give to others, even your suffering itself, make this an offering to me. God provides literally everything for us. So whenever we learn how to dovetail or to merge our daily activities, our whole lives, into devotional service, that's how we make offerings to God. We make offerings to God in many ways. The easiest way is by chanting God's names and talking about God and whatnot. So you're basically offering your love to Him. That's devotion, service with love. And whenever you do so, God gives you the capacity to understand Him and His nature, which is beyond material. You start learning things that is beyond limitations of material senses. Your third eye will open more so than what people think the open third eyes are. Whenever you start seeing ghosts and pixies and fairies and different energies in this realm, you're still only seeing the surface level. There's still more to work on. So if your third eye is open 100%, God can reveal Himself to you. That's what a lot of people don't understand about the Parampara system or the disciplic succession. All those who said that God completely revealed His personal form to them, they were not lying. There were people in different dimensions that lived completely different lifetimes, thousands of years apart, that dedicated their whole lives, which lived in different ages where we had way longer lifespans, and dedicated their entire lives to accumulating spiritual knowledge. All of these people, like Brahma, the co-creator of this material existence, have seen God personally, after much, much work, much, much austere penances they paid, working on the soul. So elevating yourself to a high enough vibration, or proving yourself worthy enough to God for Him to show Himself to you, it's a big deal. And there's a lot of devotees who had this happen, that lived thousands of years apart, that describe the same exact features. I'm wearing the Godhead right now. That's the Godhead. And they say the Godhead for a reason, because everything is God's body, and the idea about addressing Godhead is because we want to make it to His planet. His Godhead is Krishna Loka, or God's abode, So when we're down here in these lower dimensions, we're serving Him at His feet. We're serving the lotus feet, So that's another thing. But we need to understand that most people that are successful do it alone. Look at Tesla. Look at any of the great yogis. Do you see them out there sitting with their family in lotus position, praying and whatnot? I'm not saying it can't happen, but most of the people that accumulate actual success spend a lot of time on their own. So we have to learn how to enjoy our own energy and set up energetic boundaries when need be. Know how to spend time on your own, without being driven crazy by your mind. Enter into your heart space where you can actually learn and grow. Devotion is manifested through devotional service. So whenever you start doing things for a greater purpose, then your devotional qualities will start manifesting and whatnot. So the idea is to merge your whole life into devotional service. And by doing that, because we're part and parcel of the whole Creator, when we're serving that whole Creator, we're in harmony. There's a mutual transaction. God can give you back a hell of a lot more love than you can give Him. So when we're doing this, He's going to bless you with different energies. He's going to give you a great enough capacity to understand Him. He's going to give you eyes to see, ears to hear, and help you to spiritualize your material senses. That's why people, they don't understand, how these great beings have actually accessed seeing God or whatnot, and all the different visions they've had, is because they don't have material senses. They have transcendental senses from that point. They're unlimited. So God, if you prove yourself worthy, God's going to show you things that you're ready to see. But if you're not ready to see it, you're not going to see it. So the impersonalists like to say, oh, we have a limited mental mentality and whatnot, being humans and stuff. No one could actually see God, but they're still in the material platform. They're only thinking on material senses. They think their third eyes are open, but they are not actually open. They're still dazzled by ghosts and spirits and pixies and fragments in the energy field. But there's a lot more to it. Thinking that all these great beings in the past who have explained and described God to every minute detail, which is beyond Hinduism, because like I said, Brahma, the co-creator of the entire material existence, also seen God and described the same qualities and whatnot, and the appearance and the features to the T, and it hasn't changed. So you can't say, oh, this is just Indian stuff, because Brahma's not Indian. He hasn't even took a body on this world. He's a co-creator of this world. So he has a planet on a higher dimension in the heavenly planes. So can't be true, So whenever he described a certain way, and then beings that lived and walked this planet and thousands of years apart described the same thing, you don't think that that's like a little strange, That's pretty on point, So the God's messages and God's features and names and everything, it's all unchangeable and limitless, unlimited and inexhaustible. So when they're describing all these characteristics and features, they're on point, And to think, it's so funny how arrogant people are in this age, because they think that back then, thousands of years ago, people were primitive, and now we're just talking about people who walked the earth, not just the demigods who are also worshiping God in the form of Krishna, his original form. Just the people that have walked this planet, they previous to this time, people today think that they were primitive because of your government is telling you that we're the most technologically inclined we've ever been, which is so far from the truth. Our technology gives us fucking cancer. Back then, they made healing temples so gigantic that they would create communication throughout the whole multiverse. That's technology. They were very technologically inclined. We are technologically retarded right now. And because we have these stupid cell phones, we think that everything's all gravy, but we can't even connect to each other with love with these phones. At least when they had the healing temples built out of all kinds of different crystals, they were all meeting up, even people that don't even live in this planet were coming here because it was that fascinating. Now, the extraterrestrials from all the different areas don't really give a damn about this place because there's too much hatred, there's too much envy. It doesn't give them any reason to be attracted to it. So even way back then, the demons were conscious enough to acknowledge the demigods. They were given the demigods offerings and worshiping the demigods to receive different boons. Now we just worship our own dicks. We don't know shit, you know. So there's a lot of people out there flexing their knowledge or flexing their muscles and all this stuff, but they really aren't really doing anything with their souls, with their lives. They're not learning anything of essence. They're not becoming spiritualized, and this is a problem, you know, and we have to live in it, and we have to raise our kids to live in this world where everyone's so dumbed down. It's like idiocracy, and living proof. Number 2, having beautiful children that grow up to be materially successful. We put so much unneeded pressure on our kids, you know. We put so much unneeded pressure on ourselves to attract this beautiful partner and have these beautiful kids with them, and we want these kids to grow up in such a specific way, you know what I mean? We our measure of success is very surface level, and it sets the children up for a very depressing life. Even when they do achieve material success and whatnot, they end up robotic, and they don't really have any essence, and a lot of us kill ourselves. This is happening. It's not being talked about or looked at because most people are too scared to look at what's actually going on. And it really needs to be looked at because we need to turn the lights on, put our awareness on it, and so it won't exist anymore, so that we can next come up with some solutions and listen to them. So whenever we're too attached to our partners and we're too attached to our children and whatnot, we're actually creating distance from ourselves and God, the Creator, and whatnot, and who these partners and children are actually of, you know. So we're driving ourselves and our children and partners away from God the more we become addicted to them. There's a difference between addiction and balance, you know. So whenever we're putting unneeded pressure on ourselves and others, it's not going to do anything but create distress and drive you into a material situation repetitively. The solution for not putting that pressure on your child to become materially successful is to train yourself and to teach the children how to acknowledge and serve God, to experience a more quality life on a deeper level, so that they can actually accumulate essence. They don't have to give up anything they're doing. They just have to acknowledge like what actually matters as they're doing it. That way they're not lost in life. That way their egos don't overcome them. That way they don't become embodiments of passion, embodiments of lust. You know, this is a problem. You know, we got all these people, like, whether your kid becomes a lawyer or a doctor, if he doesn't have any essence, then he's just a distraction, you know. And that has a lot to do with how we're raising our kids, you know. They're going to turn out how they want to regardless, but the least we can do is guide them the right way, and we don't even know how to do that. So whenever you train them to serve God, you're teaching them how to get in touch with themselves on a deeper level. So whenever we are acknowledging the proprietor of everything and everyone's father, where everyone and everything came from, then we're filling up with essence and bliss and harmony. Then everything, you have much greater capacity to put more energy into everything that you're doing. That way you can actually get true enjoyment out of whatever it is that you're doing, and actually transcend the modes of material or nature while you're working for a living and living in this world. So it's really hard to develop balance in that way, because we've lost touch with our source. We've lost touch with our Father, our original Creator. When you say the word God, or say I love God so much and I want to talk about God so much, it makes people run, makes them cringe. It's so sad to see that we've come to this, you know what I mean? But a lot of it's because of the mainstream religions and everything being distorted and whatnot. But whenever someone actually does know what they're talking about, it's different than a Jehovah's Witness coming to your doors and talking to you about some shit that they think they know about. Train your mind to understand that this is God's child, not yours. Nothing is yours. You're only the caretaker of what's being provided by God. In this way, we learn to detach ourselves from the material situation. When you train yourselves to say, nothing of this is mine. This body itself isn't even mine. These kids aren't mine. The family that I have isn't mine. It's all God's. It's all technically God's. So everything's being given to you by God doesn't make it yours, because we have to make it all an offering to God. By training your kids how to serve God, you're making an offering of your child to God. So understanding that we are only the caretaker of what comes into our lives and eventually leaves our lives is the way you create detachment from this material bondage, and so that your main focus is on God. I'm not saying to not love your kids. I'm not saying to not love your partner, but I'm saying to not be so attached to them to where your main focal point is completely gone, you know? So have your main focal point be God. Let everything else that comes in and out of your life be a byproduct, you know, because we've had more lives than this. So we've had more families than this. We've had more children than we have right now. So the idea is to acknowledge God for providing, you know, acknowledge the ultimate proprietor and show love to God through everyone and everything that comes in and out of your life. Because we come into this world empty-handed, we're going to leave empty-handed. We came into this world given a body to us. We're not even going to leave with that. Okay? We have to understand these things and break it down to the minute details. That way we can really understand what's important in life. We're not our bodies. We're the beings inside of it operating the body. So if we're not doing something with that soul, if we're not becoming conscious, if we're not exercising spiritually, and we're not spiritualizing our senses, we're not actually doing anything in this world. We're wasting our time, you know, and we don't have that much time in this age, man. We don't have the guarantee that we're getting a human body in our next lives. If you misuse this one, you might not get a human body in your next life. You may think you know what you're talking about. You may pick different things out that you like from each religion and say, oh, well, this works for me and I think this is how it is. But the more you mentally speculate instead of surrendering to superior wisdom, the more you're going to retard yourself from what the truth as it is and what actually matters. Okay, so like I said, there's a whole disciplic succession and parampara system where people have lived way longer lives that devoted their whole lives to accumulating spiritual knowledge and have actually seen God, and lived thousands of years apart and described the same exact features and dropped this whole yoga system down for us, and all we got to do is surrender and pick it up and apply it to our lives. That's all you got to do, you know, and it's apparently not very easy. 3, having a lot of money or materials. This traps one in a vicious cycle of working like an ass all day for a small treat. When money is your drive, you create a restless situation for yourself and never develop maturity, never knowing how to properly use your money as an offering to God, who's the source of all pleasure and value. The ass works all day. The donkey, it'll haul everyone's stuff around in India and return get a very small treat. This rabbit just ran right up to me. Hey, buddy. Oh my god. It's so wild. I've had multiple rabbits just stop and let me pet them and stuff. This one's just coming right up to me. I was like so curious about the energy. But yeah, the donkey will work so hard, kill itself for this small amount of grass and whatnot, and that's how humans have been trained to live their lives, you know. Kanye West, what did he say? I sold my soul for a record deal, all I got's a cool toy and a Happy Meal. That's what he said. And this is one of the great artists and superstars on our planet that a lot of people look up to. Now he's becoming awoke and exposing the Illuminati, you know. But whenever we train ourselves to live a certain way and then eventually find out we don't want any part of this deal, it takes a lot of work to reprogram your mind and to get in rhythm with that way of life, and to help inspire others to become conscious too is like a never-ending battle in this age, but it's happening because we're in such a nasty situation. Um, like it says, God is the reservoir of all pleasure and value, and when we make money our main goal, it's like you get into this mode where you're like all these different beings who have also sold their soul and haven't broken out of that situation. Uh, Money on my mind. If you ain't talking about money, you better not talk to me. This and that shit. That's all training your kids how to act like that. Just remember that, So the more you're bobbing your head and thinking that shit's cool, the more you're strengthening the illusion. The more you're strengthening the ass backwards way of living, and creating more suffering for yourself and others, So money is a byproduct of living righteously. When we make these things a byproduct, we create detachment from it and space between you and the outcome of life. So it doesn't matter how much you make or what materials you have, you'll still be able to be blissful because it requires being at that state originally to actually get it from the money or from the materials. So we have to find happiness within ourselves first before we can expect to have it from others or any materials in this world. So the solution is to train oneself to have a deeper drive. Make serving the Supreme your drive. This will create harmony within yourself and give you a deeper sense of purpose while making a living at the same time. This detaches you from materialistic goals. When one serves the reservoir of bliss and energy and pleasure, the Supreme Lord will in return grant you more energy, bliss, and pleasure. And you will be able to find happiness through the simple things in life. With an already blissful state, one will not need or expect to find happiness out of temporary materials or money, and one growing accustomed to this service attitude will also develop maturity with their money and materials, using one's money and materials in service of God. And when we get in rhythm with doing that, then we're helping everyone out by like providing facilities. For example, if you have a lot of money and you invest in a temple, a place for people to go to become conscious with each other, that's idea, man. That's actually thinking big, man. That's an eternal spiritual desire. And whenever you create facility like that, man, that's major service to God, and you can purify yourself rapidly like that. So we have more people like that on this planet, then we wouldn't be so sidetracked by all the fake ass temples out there. We wouldn't be so sidetracked by all this fast food franchises and shit. You'd be able to go to Walmart without saying no, 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 no. The whole way from here to Walmart, I gotta say no to 10,000 different restaurants because they're all there to sidetrack you from life. Number 4. Having a fridge full of sumptuous foods. This traps one into serving their tongues instead of their souls. When one is addicted to foodstuffs, one will trap themselves in the bodily concept of life, or living to eat instead of eating to live. When we're focused on such a temporary pleasure as to how things taste on the tongue instead of how certain foodstuffs will nourish your whole body, making one feel harmony within their being, and so be able to function on an optimal level. So we forgot the whole meaning of food is so that you feel well, so that you're nourishing your body like water in the roots of a plant. When you put foods that are packed full of nutrients, like the acai bowl and whatnot that people are growing accustomed to, when that hits your stomach, it gets distributed through the rest of your body, and you just feel so good after eating like that. That's how we need to be. The better our bodies operate, the better health we're in, the greater capacity we're going to have to deliver. The more love energy we're going to be able to give to our brothers and sisters, the more love energy we're going to be able to give to God through them. And that's the whole name of the game here, is to surrender to that truth. When you're done trying to be God, then you'll learn how to serve God. And when you do that, Then you'll know what real joy is, real harmony, what actual bliss is, and how to transcend all this material bullshit. Solutions is eat foods rich with nutrients that also have a high vibration, like fruits and veggies. Eat foodstuffs offered to the Lord. Create a shrine in your kitchen or dining room and put your food in front of it. Ding a bell and say a mantra or prayer blessing your food. Shrines are a portal to God and the spirit realm, so by doing so, this will spiritually cleanse and charge your food. This will purify one's material senses, and when one has completely merged their lives into a devotional service to the Lord, then their food is already being offered to God through their actions, and the energy they're getting from the food stuff is being used to serve the Supreme Lord. In other words, offering to the shrine is for ones who are still developing a devotional attitude towards life and are still trying to spiritualize their senses. And whatever you're offering, offer it with love, because the love energy is what is accepted, received, and eaten by the Lord and his representatives, namely the demigods. This love is returned tenfold into your food, and then you consume it, creating purification within the body, mind, and soul. Okay? And then number 5, being physically attractive, which isn't a bad thing. None of these are bad. Like I said, just don't make it your main focus. Allow it to be a secondary byproduct. One who's becoming pure in their soul actually becomes very attractive and beautiful, because God is the all attractive and your heart is the temple of God. So whenever you grow a great capacity for receiving spiritual energy, you're attracting the all attractive through you. Therefore, you're becoming more attractive because you're emanating God's energy. It may seem like a lot of people run from you at first, but that's because you have such a bright light to shine, But ultimately, they're going to respect you, and they're going to come back to you whenever they're ready. And those who run away are not supposed to be around you anyways. They're not real people. And the light shows things. It's not the light that creates the snakes and spiders in the abandoned house. When you go into your abandoned house and you put the light of awareness in it, then you see the snakes and spiders and they run. That's how it works. It's not the meditation's fault. It's not God's fault. It's not your fault. It's just how it is. Being physically attractive entangles one into the bodily concept of life. It gives you a more easily of a facility to enjoy material things. It makes it easier to be sidetracked from anything of essence in this realm. That's why you see all these beautiful women showing off their bodies and over-sexualizing the community and whatnot. It's because that's how they're trained. That's all they know how to live. And all the rappers, all these different people are attracted to this way of being. We need to start being attracted to the soul, not the body. That's gonna get you into trouble, So whenever you get with this girl that has the body that you dreamed of, or the guy that has the body that they dreamed of, and then you find out later in life that they never gave a damn about you and they were unfaithful to you, that's your own damn fault. You need to be attracted to more than just the surface level in this life. The solution is to make your physical appearance your byproduct. Your physical body is just a reflection or byproduct of your vibration, of your soul. This is a perverted reflection of what our souls look like. So the more you purify your soul, the better your body's going to look. And make it a byproduct. Don't make it your main focal point. Understand what I said about attracting God into your temple. That's God is the all attractive. So whenever you're emanating God's energy, you're naturally, as a byproduct, going to become attractive. And that's how you create distance and detachment from these different things that people value so highly and measure as a successful being in this world. So just remember, if you're not getting materials, if you're not getting a lot of money, if you're not getting a woman, this is also good. If you're not getting a man of your dreams, this is also good. So, because God's blessing you with an opportunity to focus on what actually matters. A lot of people have these things, and you can tell they're not happy, and they cannot focus. They are sidetracked. So allow them to be sidetracked and focus on your ass. Get your energy right, So I hope this helps, because all of this stuff is very important to me. I hope whatever I have to say really helps people out. I know people that know me know that I have a lot to say, and I know people that really know me know that what I have to say will really sincerely help them out on the deepest levels when you finally surrender to the wisdom. But I love everyone. Everyone's going to believe whatever they want anyways, but at least I can be out there along with others who can just put that truth out there and hope people grab it when they're ready. But all it takes is a simple surrender, which isn't actually simple apparently. But I love everybody. Hare Krishna, Namaste. Have a good day, everyone. I hope your challenges end up lightening up on you, because I don't like to see people in agony and whatnot. It's not. It doesn't feel good to my heart. I like to see people come together in love. I like to see people giving love to each other and supporting each other. So I love everyone, and I appreciate everyone that supports me and helps motivate me to do what I'm doing. Namaste.